Welcome to Widow Too Soon. This is your host, Michelle Bader, and I'm sitting here with my friend and co-host, Mark Mazzaro. I just had to beat you on the last one. How's it going, Mark Mazzaro?
It is going well.
You have a cool name. It's like a strong name. Mark Mazzaro.
Thank you. It makes up for my lack in height and stature. That's an alarm, Michelle. I muted my phone. That's an alarm.
I think if it's muted, then you wouldn't hear it.
That's what I thought.
I guess alarms still go off. Yeah, probably. Anyways.
It was on the silent, which is like the vibrate one.
Okay. You're forgiven one time.
Thank you. One time. You heard
one time. If it goes off
you
again.
heard it here. Okay. I should just turn it off. I don't want to get in trouble. Anyways, back to my awesome name. Yeah, I remember when I thought of it when I was a baby. No, that's cool. Thanks. Yeah, I actually I used to not like my name Mark. I thought it was and now I'm just like whatever, but I was like, why didn't they name me like something cool like Tony, or I don't know. Like I like those strong like Italian names like Giovanni or something.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
But now I'm like, no, like Mark's a good name, it's a gospel name and I like it. I just didn't like it as a kid. It felt really dorky to me. Plus, here's a big one. I can't believe I'm going to say this on air. My middle name is Frederick.
That's right.
Now that's dorky. That is dorky. But I think so my son's middle name is Jeffrey, and he's named after his father-in-law, Jeff.
Okay.
Excuse me, not his father. My father-in-law. Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. But saying Luke Jeff sounded weird to me. And so we said Jeffrey, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same thing that happened with me because my grandfather's name was Fred.
Okay, so
I'm like, so I asked my mom,
like Mark Fred.
But like Mark Fred sounds weird, right? So she probably said like Frederick, and I'm like, could have done Freddie, Kruger, Prince Jr., any of the cool Freddies. Anyways, so that's all about my name. Interesting. That's what this episode's about.
This episode's about Mark's name. So what have you been up to? In the last month.
Last month. We're sorry.
Slacking.
It's the
holidays.
Okay. So here's the thing. Y'all are gonna feel bad for us right now. I had the flu for like 3 weeks.
That is bad. Yes.
It was rough. It is so and that sent me like, I don't know if it was specifically from that, but I had some heavy grief in December. I missed Lacey a lot and just went through bouts of that. And being really sick always seems to, make me feel sorry for myself. Because my kids are hungry. I still need to get up and feed them, even though I had my son and I both, our fevers hit 105. We were like so crazy sick. I was hallucinating. I was seeing my dog walking on the wall. It was like weird.
That's so weird.
And my girlfriend, who's incredibly awesome. Hey girl.
Hey, Mr. Girl. Shout out.
She's like, I'm gonna be kind of assertive here. Get up and take medicine.
Good job, Mr. Girl.
She's like, have you taken medicine? I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, I was really, really sick. I don't know if it was the flu. It might have been COVID. It just, it didn't matter to know because I had like 3 people that were like, have you taken a COVID test? I'm like, no, because I'm not going to do anything.
Not going anywhere anyways.
It's like, I'm not going to do anything differently to find out it's COVID. It didn't matter. So, it felt like maybe it was the flu or COVID or something, but I was really like, honestly, the most sick I've been in my life. Like at least that I can remember. I mean, I can't, guarantee that, but as far as I can remember. So there was that.
Yeah, that's big.
And I was in a big like funk. Like I was having a really hard time. And I just felt bad because it was like every day I was just, it was Christmas. Like, one of the things was like, Lacey was so good at like, when you have a wife, like a lot of times as a guy, like you don't have to worry about who's getting what for Christmas. Like,
right.
A lot of times,
it's usually the mom's
women
job.
are just really good at handling that. And, and Lacey was one of those. She was really good at it. And so I never had to think about it. So for the past few years, that's always been hard for me is I'm thinking, and I just always feel like I'm forgetting somebody. And Lacey was so good at it. She's like, oh, no, I baked cookies for them. I'm like, oh, what about these neighbors? And she's like, no, I baked a cake. And I'm like, what? Oh gosh, you're awesome.
Amazing.
She's like, yeah, I dropped it off last week or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. So like, I just never had to think about it. But so now I'm like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to, get, and then now I moved across the country. So all my people live back in California pretty much that I had to get gifts for. So, I'm shipping all these gifts across the country, and I was just, whatever. Christmas isn't about that, right? Christmas is about that beautiful baby boy being born. And, but it's still like we live in a world where our society, if somebody gets you a gift, like you feel horrible if you didn't get them something or whatever, and so anyways, I had some funk and some depression, but I did get a chance to go visit my girlfriend for a few days. And that just, honestly, it just made everything better. It was really great. It was like, oh gosh, I feel like healed. Of course I don't miss Lacey any less. Right. But like I don't know. It's like I was just reminded that like, okay, I lost somebody amazing, but I again have somebody amazing. And so like, I don't want to, spend all my time being in this dark depression but I kind of like, I made a Facebook post and I posted on our Facebook page too, that like, whatever you feel is okay. And I know some of you listening, like this was your first Christmas alone. And oh, my heart pours out to you. I remember that Christmas. I just wanted to sleep.
It was horrible.
I just wanted to sleep through it, and that was terrible. And so anyways, so whatever you feel is okay. It's not, not saying like, hey, well, Christmas isn't about that. And, I've had people say some weird things to me. And, when there's been people where I tell them like, I'm kind of struggling with depression and they say like, well, don't you know that like, God doesn't want you to like feel that way? And that, Lacey would want you to be happy, right? Lacey wouldn't want you to feel that way. And I'm like, okay, tell that to my anxiety. I'll be right here waiting while you make that phone call, because I'm pretty sure my anxiety doesn't care about anything you're saying right now. Neither does my sadness or my missing her, and I'm like, yeah, that stuff's all fine and dandy when it comes to like, I don't have any, I don't feel bad for Lacey. She's in eternity with our king, I don't feel bad for her. And so I can tell myself that kind of stuff, but it doesn't always make me feel better when I'm in a deep state of like missing her. So anyways, I've had so much going on because it's been a month, but the last thing I'll say, I'll kind of end it on a positive note. It was amazing getting to see my girlfriend. She's such a sweetheart and she's just awesome. I'm getting closer and closer to her being ready to reveal her identity. And not be a mystery. I just do this for her. I'm super proud of who she is. And I love her and she's just awesome, so I'm not like, I'm ready to talk about her, but it's out of respect for her that I don't. So on another positive note though, it snowed in Tennessee. It was awesome. And I'm not joking. A lot of people thought I was joking. I got out my snowboard last night. And I snowboarded down my street into my driveway, down into the neighbor's backyard. Nice. Because, a lot of people here in Tennessee, just for those of you who are on the West Coast and will think it was on the West Side, that you'll think it was weird like me. Like most people here don't have fences around their backyard. I guess it's like a normal thing when you come out this way. Because I remember seeing that in Illinois. I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Like everybody's backyards are just connected. It's not like that in California. It's very, very strict where this is my property. That's your property. You stay over there. We come over here, we want our privacy, all this. Right. And, so when I say I snowboarded down into my neighbor's backyard, like it's an open field. Okay. But anyways, so, but it was cool. Alexis sat on her butt and rode my snowboard down the hill. We got all my snowboard gear on. She had my big old huge snowboarding goggles on, and nice. It was snowing, and I was like, everybody around here, all the neighbors hearing us screaming, they're like, yeah, they're not from around here. Yeah. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun, and I'll just and I do have to talk about our Christmas was, I had some grief, but I don't want to hang up on that. But, it was beautiful. I got to spend Christmas evening with my cousin and his family. And good. So Christmas, Christmas felt a a lot better than I was anticipating it
Mhm.
feeling with everything that I was feeling earlier in the month. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
How about you, Michelle? What's going on in Michelle land?
So much.
Michelle Land, USA.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know
that
that
was.
song, like surfing in the USA.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Kind
blend
of.
of, and that and then an old video game called Cruising USA. Anyway,
Oh, I don't know that one. Anyways,
proceed.
also you had your birthday.
I did have my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm now 29.
That's what I thought. Now we're the same age. You're
No,
29.
I am 43 years old. You know, it's so weird. Now, a lot of listeners, I don't mean to insult anybody's age or anything, of course, but you probably, if you're older than me, you can probably remember back to when you felt this way. But it dawned on me, I was like, whoa, I'm like well on my way to 50. Like,
Right?
that's
I mean,
weird.
I
When,
don't know
you
that,
know,
but
you
yeah.
don't know that. Yeah.
I'm
But I mean,
29.
it still feels like not that long ago that I was in my
Yeah.
mid 20s. And I'm like, whoa,
Right?
like I'm 43. Like,
That's weird.
and then 44 and then 45. And so
Stop.
you know
No.
what? We have salvation. We don't have to worry about our age, you know?
Yeah.
We have eternal bodies waiting for us. So
Yeah.
but anyways, it is just kind of one of those things, you know, you're like, oh,
Mhm.
whoa. Like,
Yeah.
and then when I hear kids talking nowadays, they're like, bruh, that's like
Bruh.
super sus. Oh, no cap, no
Yes.
cap. And I'm like, dude,
Yes.
I am that old guy that has no clue what you're talking. I'm like, yeah, totally.
Those are
Totally,
exact
dude.
words. Yeah.
I'm like,
So
dude, I don't even
funny.
know what you guys are talking about. Y'all crazy. So anyways,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. So what's been up with you? Yeah, so my birthday, big deal, right? So what's
Yeah.
up with you?
Okay. Well, I want to back it up. It was like actually the day after we did the podcast. So I haven't even like told you this off air or anything, but it was super scary. I had a medical thing happen. So,
Oh gosh.
okay. So since August, I've been having like where my calf starts hurting, like in the same place. So of course, I've been thinking since August, I might have a blood clot because Luke died of a blood clot. And my dad also has a hereditary blood clot disease and he has blood clots. So I tried to make an appointment. It took like a month or two to get in, and I had to drive really far to get to this appointment. So I drive there and I tell the doctor, she's like pretty young, seems like a really young doctor. And you tell him about my dad, I tell her about Luke, and so I'm a little concerned. And she like feels the back of my calf, and I have apparently like a protruding vein. And she like flipped out as calmly as she could. And she's like, you have to get seen. Like you cannot go home until you get an ultrasound. I'm very concerned that you have a blood clot. And I was like, okay.
Oh no.
She's like, why didn't you come in sooner? I'm like, I tried. I couldn't get in. I felt like all the blood leave my face.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna die. And I just started praying. And I was like, God, I'm not ready to leave my kids. Like, I don't want to have a blood clot too. Like, it was so scary. And she's like, let me go talk to my colleagues. You're gonna have to go to urgent care, but like all this stuff. When she comes back and she's like, we have an opening. It's actually a miracle, or I would have had to wait all day, like all night. So they had an opening like in 10 minutes at their ultrasound department at that place. This is a Kaiser place. And I go to it, and the guy's like totally silent. And, he has to like do this thing all up and down my leg and all on all my veins. And then I was just crying. And I finally said, I know you can't give me official word, that has to come from the doctor. Like, I know how this works, but could you, my husband died of a blood clot. Could you please tell me what you're seeing? And he was like, honestly, you have textbook veins. There's no clots here. Like,
no way.
So yes, he was like, you've got, see this. And then he went back up to the place where like, they felt like the veins protrude. He's like, the thing is, like, you're a lot smaller than most patients they see. So maybe your veins protrude more and that's why they're concerned. But there's nothing. And he like put the little ultrasound thing on where the vein was sticking out. And he was like, no, like if you had a blood, I'm like, I thought that dark spot was a blood clot. And he was like, no, that's and here's the blood flowing in, and here's this. And he was so kind and patient. He was like an angel.
That's awesome.
Literally like laying there crying and like, I'm going to die. God, I'm not ready. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave my kids. It was the scariest I've been since Luke died. Like, and the most alone I've ever felt, which felt like brought me a lot of grief. Of course, I'm texting and calling Joel when I can and calling my mom, but it's not the same as having somebody with me. And, but I felt a lot of relief, like when he said that. And then the doctor comes in and like during the ultrasound, I just want to make sure that we're getting this taken care of in this area and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I will call you within, I think she said an hour or less. And another doctor called within like 20 minutes on my way home, was like, there's no blood clots. So
praise God.
It was such a relief. Like,
wait though, did they say no cap?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so amazing. Oh
No,
my
it was
gosh.
like all this like major emotional roller coaster. And always being in Kaiser brings up, I know you guys had Kaiser too, brings up such emotions just being there anyways. And
Yeah.
then going through that on my own, them telling me like this girl, I appreciated that she was on top of it, like rather than just ignoring it. Like that she was like, no, you have to get this looked at tonight. I'm very concerned. But she was a little over the top that made me scared.
Mhm.
But I'm still thankful for her that she pushed it and I didn't have to wait weeks to find out what was going on.
Right, right. I mean, if it wasn't for her concern, you probably wouldn't have gotten so quick to that ultrasound.
No, I wouldn't have. And it still had like it's a weird pain, but it's actually I haven't really felt it in a long time. But I'm also like started I don't know if you know the workout program Insanity. It's
Yes.
cray. I'm
Is
on
it?
day 16. I gotta look at my calendar. I just finished day 16, but I'm doing a lot of leg work and stuff. And so I'm feeling sore, but it is not the same as that. And I also
Is that
think it
one
was
different from the P90X
yeah,
or
it's
whatever?
P90X.
They're
I
different,
believe I've
right?
done both of them. Yeah.
Okay, but it's not just another name for it or whatever. It's
No,
separate.
it's a different workout program. It's like
Right.
I
Yeah,
thought
it's like high intensity interval
oh my
training, right?
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting married in like 83 days. So I'm trying to be totally in shape for my wedding and all that.
83 days.
Something
That's
actually it
awesome.
might be a little bit less than that. It's 80 something. It's basically 2 months, 3 weeks. So but
Okay.
anyways, the point is I haven't felt that. And I know the pain was real because I was having it a lot, but I also have had it less since I've been through all this and that I know that it's not a blood clot. And then I
Are you
even
running a lot? Like, could it be like cramping or something like that?
no, I wasn't working out at
No?
all because I was still that's another thing that's changed since we last, or maybe right when we talked, like I'm not doing my job anymore. And so now I have time to work out. I did not have time before, but now I'm working out every day. But
Nice.
anyways, like so that was a huge roller coaster of emotions. And even in the
Oh my
beginning,
gosh, yeah.
I was like, Joel, what if they were wrong? What if they missed it? And he's like, no, they didn't. And I remember like a time a couple months ago, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago now, I remember I felt like God spoke to me like very clear and said, I gave you the gift of health. Because in the
Mm.
last 2 years, 2.5 years, I have thought I've had all these things. Like I've told you about a lot of them. I think I have this. I think I
Yeah,
have it.
no,
Like
it's
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 just
hard.
it's hard, but I am trying to accept that because as soon as I get through one thing, then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this. And like, no, I feel like God's saying I gave you the gift of health. And so I
Mm.
just need to embrace that. And I'm also having difficulty with like feeling guilty, not guilty because I love someone else, like not guilty towards Luke, but guilty that there are other widows that are not in my same place.
I can
Almost like,
relate.
I had to hold my counselor and she's like, that is from the devil. Like, God wants you to be happy. Like,
Mhm.
you do not have to feel guilty. And she's like, and you've been through a lot of hard stuff and you
Mhm.
do not need to feel guilty. So I'm hope that helps somebody else too. Like, if you're
And
in
I
a,
agree with that. Yeah. Because we've okay, so I felt that before because I'm like, are we like rubbing it in people's faces, so to speak, because we care about what people think and we care
yeah,
about that we're not hurting people's feelings. And so, I'm like, is it like, you know, weird for us to talk about that we have these other relationships? And, but at this point, I feel like people probably would want us to be happy,
right.
and like you in the audience kind of a thing is who I mean, like the people listening that we're talking to or whatever. And but yes, but like you said though, like your counselor said, like we've been through hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've learned, and I hope this helps somebody and doesn't sound like mean. Um, I really try hard to choose happiness, because I know what it's like to not feel happiness and to be stuck in a really dark place. And if somebody doesn't want me to show the happiness that I feel, those that's somebody that's got their own stuff going on,
Yep.
or
Mm-hmm.
or I just don't want them around. We had a listener reach out and say that she has started dating again, and I am gonna refrain from some of the stuff I say just so it doesn't give away, because I don't I didn't ask to share this, but just there were some people in her circle that were not okay with it and asked our advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I give everybody the same advice, that I'm like, if like you pursue your own happiness, like if someone doesn't want you dating, like you need to ask yourself these questions. Well, is that person who doesn't want you dating, are they going to kiss you goodnight?
Right.
Are they going to take out the trash for you? Are they going to, husband wife things, like the beautiful connection that a husband and wife have? Are they going to do that for you? Are they going to fulfill that role for you? Are they going to make you feel loved and protected and cherished and desired and all the things that we want from a marriage? No, they just want to stick their nose in your business, and they don't have a good reason for saying that. So don't let somebody else tell you that you should not be pursuing your own happiness, because that is unfair to you, and you have been through far too much. Now, if you are not ready for that next chapter, that of course is okay, and it's going to be okay for as long as you need. But yeah, anyways, so but go on, please. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. It's yeah. So another thing, I had Christmas with the in-laws, meaning Luke's parents.
Right.
And that was probably the most grief I've had in years, because I wasn't able to go to their house last year. Just the kids did it. And I think so this is our third Christmas, same as you. So the first Christmas we did do it, and it was really hard. I didn't do it last year, and then we did it this year. And I haven't hung out with them much without Luke. And so it was like a big hole. It's an obvious hole when I go there. Like very, like I couldn't let myself think about him for too long, because I knew I would start crying. It's the, I wasn't really taking my advice about like what we feel, we heal, all that stuff, but I just didn't want to lose it in front of them. And I ended up giving my mother-in-law this like picture frame thing that held pictures of Luke, and she cried and really loved it. And she even texted me the next day when it was up on the wall and like, thank you so much. I love this. I even had a picture of him from high school that I didn't know she had seen before. It was like one of the pictures I took when he was a senior and I was a junior. And I gave that to her. And it was also like, okay, do I talk about my wedding? Do I not? Like most people, that's what they asked me about. And it took a while for someone to bring it up. And then it was just still felt awkward. Like, and then like, what is it going to be like next year? Are they going to invite Joel? Like what, which I'm sure they will. And my mother-in-law is great. Like she asked a lot of questions about the wedding. She wants to come. Luke's sister wants to come. His nieces and nephews want to come, which is awesome. And I said to her, we're going to read this thing at the beginning of our wedding about how it's okay to have grief and joy today. It's okay to, those feelings can coincide, because we would not be at this day if both families hadn't experienced grief.
I love that.
And she's like, that's how I feel. It's like it put into words what she was saying, the feeling. She's like, that's how I feel. I have grief, but I also have joy. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're feeling. So anyways, it was good. I loved being around all the little nieces and nephews and, my kids' cousins, and letting them, be there with them and continue those relationships. And I think,
it honors Luke too.
Yeah.
It totally honors Luke, that like, that's how I think a lot of, not that I don't want to stay in touch with my in-laws or anything, but there's, I love them, but there's also this part of me that I feel like I'm making Lacey proud, that I am, keeping up relationships and that it didn't just go away or whatever, and of course I would do that on my own anyways.
Right.
But there is a feeling that comes along with it of like, I think Lacey would be proud of all of us that we stayed family, like I think she would be proud of us, and that I hope that makes sense. Like it's not, of course, like I think all of us would have done this, without that feeling or whatever, of course, none of us had an obligation to one another in this, in the sense of the word. But I really feel like, Lacey, if she could just look and see that we were all, and actually I'm going to visit them in a couple weeks in California. So
that's awesome.
Gonna go get some In-N-Out. What? That's what a hamburger is all about.
That's right. That's,
you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Yeah, you better go to
In-N-Out's about it.
Yeah, we have one like an hour away, so it's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, in Salem,
I would make
Oregon.
that trip. I would make that trip.
I did. I took my kids there, and they're like, well, they don't eat hamburgers, so all they had was fries and a milkshake, and they're like, what's the big deal? I'm like, we didn't have a hamburger. Like,
still okay.
Still, the fries are good.
Fries animal style. What? Oh my gosh.
Well, I thought only animal style could be the burger. Doesn't that mean
if
onions?
you order fries animal style, they put the spread and the cheese, the melted cheese and the grilled onions on top, and it is
I've never
So
seen that on
good.
the menu.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
not on the menu.
oh, now I
You
know.
have to be a local to know that. Same
Nice.
thing with you can order a 4x4 and nobody knows what that is because
What's
it's not on the
that?
menu. It's instead of a double cheeseburger, it's a quadruple cheeseburger.
Whoa, that sounds really healthy.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode about In-N-Out secret menu. It's totally a thing.
Yes.
Look it up. Like if you go to In-N-Out, look up In-N-Out secret menu.
That's awesome.
So anyways, yeah, I'm excited to see my in-laws and
That's
go
really
to
great.
In-N-Out and
Yeah.
and it's weird. So in Tennessee, there's no Jack in the Box.
Weird.
Isn't that weird? Like, so
That's
not a
weird.
big deal. There's no Del Taco. So all these people,
Yeah.
and then Carl's Jr. Is it
Yeah.
Carl's Jr. for you?
Yeah.
It's Hardee's.
Oh
here.
yeah.
It's not
In the
Carl's
South.
Jr.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. And there's a lot of things like that that are just like funny to me that I can't get used to. On the West Coast, it's Ralph's grocery store. Here it's Kroger. So, and by the way, when we talk about Kaiser, nobody outside of the Western United States knows what that is.
They're like, what?
Every time I mention Kaiser, people are like, what? I'm like, it's a hospital.
Yeah.
So just so y'all know, for the many times you've heard us say Kaiser, it's a hospital.
Oops, we never really.
It's a hospital network. Anyway, well, I thought it was nationwide.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it's funny. And okay, and this is the last one that we can move on. People don't call them shopping carts here. I think I've told you that,
buggies.
right?
We've talked about this.
We have
on
talked
air.
about that. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, on air even. Dang.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just find it so funny. There's so many things here that are like just different.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? What is that? And then people tell me, I'm like, oh, I never heard of that before. So it's just kind of neat, but it's funny. But yeah, so people here are like In-N-Out. Yeah, I think I've heard of In-N-Out. And I'm like, what?
What? How do you not know?
How do you not like salivate when I say In-N-Out?
So good.
Anyways, I'm so sorry.
It's good. And I'll try to get to our topic in a second, but there's so much to cover since
it's been a month.
Like a month. So I found out since our last episode that I have 2 more friends that have became widows.
Oh no.
I realized I have 4 friends and an aunt who all became widows in 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Not like widow friends I know. They're like my friends who became widows. One of them, I just found out on Facebook that her husband, she had actually passed away from cancer last February. She just hadn't posted about it. And then another one, we actually had the privilege. We went to high school together, and about 6 months ago, we went to coffee together. And I knew he was terminal, and I gave her the book that my father's questions, whatever the book that I had with Luke. I got her a copy, and I said, "Here's my biggest advice: get him to answer everything you can." So I'm hoping she did. I haven't talked to her. We have messaged. We just do Facebook Messenger, and I just reached out to her right as soon as I heard, and she put, I posted on Facebook and, how are you? And she's like, she just kind of in business mode, like, because they did the service right away. And
and she's fielding that question 26 times
yes,
a day.
exactly. And just said, here's my phone number. I'm serious. Call me day or night. Like, as much as our friends and family want to understand, they don't. And so I'm here to talk to, and so I'm going to keep reaching out to her. And I just was like, whoa, I can't believe, and they're all around my same age, 29-ish.
Yeah, 29-ish, yeah.
Just so many that have lost their spouses in the last year. And I'm just like, wow, it's so hard. And just remembering, like, it takes you back when you're like, what is she feeling right now? Oh, I would never want to be there again.
Yep.
And, of course I reached out and said, a lifeline for me was saying that, like, talking to widows, saying it's going to get better. And so I want you to know that, like, it's not going to hurt this intensely.
And I remember when you first told me that, and because, for those of you who don't know, Michelle is like 3 months further,
which now seems like nothing, but then
it is like nothing now,
a big gap.
Yeah, when it was 3 months and 6 months, I was like, what do I do? But I remember you telling me that, and so it's just, that is a good piece of advice, because I definitely felt like I had this overwhelming feeling of like, this is my life now,
right? And
you don't think it's going to get better, and better doesn't mean that you're ever not going to miss them, but I've said it several times on here, but I absolutely love it. It's probably one of my favorite analogies I've ever heard. It's just the most ringing truth is the one that you said about at first it's like just storm clouds over your head all day, and then every now and then there's a little bit of sunshine.
Yep.
And then now it's more like blue skies and sunshine, and then every now and then there's a storm cloud.
Yeah.
And I remember I heard that, I'm like, yes, that's like exactly what it's like. So because we do have a lot of our listeners, and I think of a few in particular that I know their stories on a more personal level, just because they or somebody in their family has reached out and shared with us. And I think of them when all these first things are rolling around, and I'm like, gosh, like it's hard for you and I to remember sometimes that like that not everybody that listens to us is at the same place we are.
Yeah.
So I remember that's actually going back to, that's what made me feel like, are we being insensitive as we're talking about our new relationships? Because, oh yeah, not everybody that listens to our podcast is ready to start dating again, or can even fathom the thought of that. That was one of those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, like, but I hope everybody can hear and knows our heart. I mean, we don't get paid for this. We do this because we care about the community. Well, I don't. Well,
I guess paid? I just
Have
get the
paychecks.
Oops.
That's messed up.
I know.
All right, that's it. We got to stop recording. We're going to court. So anyway, no, but money. I know, right? Over all the dollars. So we don't get paid for this. But so my point is that we do this because we care about this community, and we know how hard it is to go through this. So so I would hope that people know our hearts and know that if we do say something that maybe does come across insensitive to you because you're in the beginning, that it obviously wasn't intentional. And
right,
we try our best to recognize, and anyway, so yeah, why don't you segue us if I didn't interrupt you?
No, all I was gonna say is that Christmas morning was good with my kids. Joel and I made the decision to, as much as we wanted to be together at Christmas, to do it separately, him with his son at home and me with my kids, and it was a really good decision.
That's cool.
Just having one more time with just us, and then by next Christmas everyone will know each other a lot better because we'll be married. And so it was really good. We did our sharing about Luke, like favorites. This is our third Christmas we've done this, like a memory of Luke, and that was really good, and just really enjoyed a great, like really laid back morning, open presents, and then we just like all hung out on the couch together and talked and played a game, and it was really good. So I'm very thankful for a good Christmas. And
that's good.
Even though it's sad I wasn't with Joel, it's okay because also he's gonna be here to live in about a week. I am so excited.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, he's moving into an apartment at my brother's in about a mile away. So he'll be a mile away instead of like 5 billion miles away. And so he's going to be part of my everyday life. Like,
that's so awesome. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Like sometimes I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like he's literally picking up his whole world for me, and
that's awesome.
Moving here. And so, yeah, we're very excited. He's trying to pack up. We're trying to get his house ready for Airbnb, trying to move a business. Like it's a lot, but it's so
what a
good.
Man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good
fun.
Man.
Yes, he is. Oh, we're so good. I could see on your face, you were like, you were going to say something.
Yeah.
And there it was.
Coming. There was no stopping that. And sometimes I feel bad because that's what happens. Because I'll feel a joke in my head. I'm like, I'm saying this. And then you go into something like kind of sad. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I say something like stupid and funny. I don't know. It's just, it's one of the problems with trying to make people laugh is you don't always do it at the right time. Anyways, mighty good man.
He's a mighty fine man. But I want to move into, finally, after like 500 years of us talking. It's okay. People are still here. If you're here, thanks. We want to get into the topic today, and it is He will renew your strength, meaning God. And I want to tell you where this came from. It was the verse of the day a few days ago, Isaiah 4:10. Let me go ahead and find that again really quick. I did have it pulled up. I want to read it so I don't like butcher it and say it wrong.
That's always a good thing.
Yes. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Actually, it's Isaiah 40:31.
So close.
Oh, I wrote 4:10. That's the time we started the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the time thing.
Yeah, no, I do that. I write it down so I kind of have an idea of where we're at, even though we go way over.
That's how you know, you cheater. You make it all sound like you're all smart.
I know. It's just
You're like, that was an hour and 10 minutes. I'm all, dang, how'd you know that?
Anyways, the point is Isaiah 40,
Yes.
31. So this was the verse of the day.
So
and you know,
close.
like you can read a verse and then it just like hits you differently.
Yes,
Like,
for sure.
that's how I felt. Like I've heard this a billion times, but it was like, oh my gosh, that's what God did for me. Like I had no strength in the beginning. I had no strength after Luke died, like none. Like I could barely, like, I didn't even remember to eat. Like I was so weak. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. And then I was like, but he renewed my strength. Like it just was like, whoa, like light bulb moment. Even though I knew it, I was like, this verse is true. Like there's no other way. And I like to make clear too that because somebody did ask me in the comments or in somewhere, I don't know if you saw it. I think it was our page where I posted it, like, would you have this without having a new love or something about being in love again? I'm like, yes, like this was before Joel. I was already getting my strength renewed. And
definitely listen to our podcast.
Yeah, you can go back to pre-Joel before I talk about Joel. And this verse just totally, like, I don't know, it just hit me in a new way. And I wanted to share it with people. And so then I'm like, we should do an episode about that, about how God has renewed our strength. And sometimes it's not just in the beginning, like you can be going along and then you feel like your strength is gone again. And God comes back and renews that and does that in different ways. How have you seen this verse true in your life?
Gosh, I mean, well, like you said, so first of all, I do remember, you know, the healing that you had experienced before dating Joel or whatever.
Yes.
And so I definitely remember seeing that, first of all, just like I can attest to that. But yeah, I just feel like there was something that God gave me that was it was a renewed strength. And it kind of came in waves, you know. It was like, but to the point where it was like, you know, I felt like renewal and then renewal and then renewal until it got to, because I remember one of the first things I felt was she's with me. She's with me, Mark. And that was like, oh, like you're right. Like,
right.
And so it was like, I don't know, there was just, I was given the ability to I found peace. I was able to find peace. And through that peace, I was able to find strength. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how to put it into words at this particular moment, but like, I definitely know that it was true for me, that God did renew my strength, because like, I am a very different man than I was a year ago. Yeah. And that man from a year ago was a very different man from the year before that. And they've all been, you know, for the most part, it's all been like positive changes. And God has given me the strength to continue raising my children and to lead them by example of what we walk through, difficult loss, how we walk through that. Yeah. I don't know how God gave me that. He gave me the strength. This isn't my strength. Right. And, you know, it's like we've made that joke 100 times before. You're so strong. I don't know how you do this.
So, you know? Strong.
You're so strong. You know, I don't know. And it's like, oh, I didn't know I had an option to be weak and fall apart and just lay in bed all week like I want to, you know? But, you know, so we've made that joke, like, you're so strong. But, you know, you and I both said the same thing. I saw some of your old Facebook posts and stuff that like, this isn't my strength you're seeing. Yeah. This is God's strength. I had so many people while Lacey was fighting, even during that season, where people were like, gosh, you're so strong. You're, you know, I had a lot of people commenting on what a great husband I was and all these different things. And I was like, no, like, give the glory to God. I'm telling you, I am pathetic. I even made a post on Facebook. I was like, you need to stop seeing me as strong. I am weak. I am pathetic. I am falling apart. I'm suffering from PTSD. I don't want to do this. Yeah. I don't want to do this anymore. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I am depressed. And I really wanted, because I was so grateful to God for the strength that he had given me to get through it. Day by day. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't like, it was like, oh, here's some strength. Now it's easy for you. He gave me what I needed to fight through it. For example, like I shared in episode 1, during that season, going through life with Lacey, I had no time to read my Bible. I had very limited time to pray. I was being pulled in every which direction with trying to raise 2 little kids and take care of a paralyzed wife with stage 4 cancer. It was insane. It was insane. I was being pulled in every direction you can imagine. And I remember somebody came over to bring us some groceries, a good friend of ours named Bella. And I said, Bella, can I please go outside and pray for just a couple minutes? And she said, yeah, of course, go ahead. And she had somewhere she had to be. So unfortunately, she, wasn't, I didn't want to be disrespectful of her time, but I sat out front and I just started praying to God. And something I did at that time is you mentioned the verse of the day. I asked God to speak to me at that time through the verse of the day, because I didn't have other time. And I said, God, just please, real quick, I got to go back in there at the end of my prayer. I said, I got to go back in there. Bella has to go. Like, can you please give me something through the verse of the day to strengthen me? And as I was praying to him before that, I opened up my heart and I said, God, this is impossible. Like, I can't do this. This is impossible. I can't do this. I don't know why you're asking this of me. This is impossible. This is impossible. I can't do it. It's impossible. And that word was giving me strength to say, this is impossible. It felt so good to tell God, this is impossible. And so I don't know why I kept edifying that word. And so when I said, God, please speak to me through the verse of the day, this is 30 seconds after that prayer, I opened up my Bible app. I hadn't opened it up in a few days. And the verse of the day was, and Jesus looked at them intently and he said, you're right. With man, oh gosh, it gets me choked up every time.
So good.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.
That's
and
so awesome.
It gave me the strength. It gave me strength that I can't even begin to explain to you.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but I said, okay, let's do it. You want me to do it? You're right. I am your servant. What do you want me to do? You're going to give me the strength, then I'm going to go in and serve you. And I went in and I made it through another day. And let me tell you, a day at that point was hell. A day of my life at that point was hell. I will never, for the Lacey's dignity, I will never go into details of all the things that had to take place to take care of her. But it was very, very difficult and very strenuous and depressing and sad. And it was just very hard. And so every day was a challenge. And so, anyways, that's kind of my, a little bit on the way that the Lord has given me strength. And, but he is a true God. His word is true. And my girlfriend was just saying this the other day, as we were talking about something in conversation, that it's the living, breathing word of God.
Yeah,
it really is. So, and then that I'm reflecting back to what you said about you can read a verse multiple times and then all of a sudden you get something else out of it. And you're like, how did I, and you really can ask yourself, you're like, how did I never see that before?
Yeah.
And it's because it's the living, breathing word of God. And so he will strengthen you and provide for you. And it doesn't always mean that, today's going to be easy because God's strengthening me. Some days you're just going to feel like his strength is your strength and you're going to feel mighty. And those experiences are so powerful, where you're just like, I feel your strength today. I don't feel my own strength. I've had times where I felt depressed and lonely and grief-stricken. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, I have 2 kids that need me. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to be happy and I'm going to go tell some jokes and I'm going to go play games with them. I'm not going to sit around and I'm like, whoa, that wasn't my strength.
Right.
That was your strength, God. Like, thank you, because I want to cry. I want to like lay in bed and hide from the world. And you give me this fire inside to be a stronger man than I am, And so anyway, so I love, that's why I love that you chose this episode, because it's like, yeah, wow, God does renew our strength. And so I've had times where it's like, I feel that strong, right?
Yeah.
I feel that strength. And then I feel grief come over me again. And then he renews my strength again and again and again. And so anyways, that's,
That's good.
my piece.
So when Luke was sick, I made up this little saying that I would say every morning. I think I can still remember it. I would say, "This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I will press on. I will be still. I know that God is for me. I know," and then I think it said something like, "I know that he will make beauty out of all of these ashes, for this is the day the Lord has made." And I would just say that over and over. Sometimes I still wake up and say that. And I'm like, I can see the beauty out of ashes now. Like
That's
in
awesome.
fact, I was having a conversation with my 18-year-old son yesterday about just God and plan, like, why did daddy die? Just all these deep things. And then I was talking about how with Joel and I, like, God had, like, neither one of us would have chosen where we're at in our life. Like, he wouldn't have chosen to be divorced. I would have chosen for my husband to die. But we are here, but how God has taken these ashes and made something beautiful. And that's what he does. And, just seeing things like that over and over. And, just thinking about God uses people and situations to renew our strength, like the people who randomly, reach out. And that's why I try to be that person now. Unfortunately, I know a lot of widows who've been through things. And so I've been trying to be like, who can I reach out to today? Because that's how God renews our strength. It's not always like straight from the Bible. Like, it's God using people. And so either you're one of those two people, maybe God is, you're not strong enough yet, but God's going to use people in your life. And maybe if you're feeling stronger, I challenge you today, it doesn't even have to be a widow. Like, who can you reach out to today to be God's strength? To give them strength and to encourage them. And, and especially as widows and widowers, people do look at us and like, wow, they survived that. And we do point people to God, because they're
it's such a testimony.
Yeah. If they went through that, I can survive what I'm going through. And so, there's so many people, it would take forever to talk about every situation. I mean, there's so many. When Luke was sick, people anonymously giving us money and leaving a surprise Easter egg hunt at our door for the kids, and just story after story, paying, I think it was a total of 2 years my mortgage was paid for, by people that are super generous, and just so many things. And it's like,
that's crazy. That's awesome.
It is crazy. And it was actually by my uncles who both passed away within the last year.
Oh, wow.
And they shared it. They shared our mortgage, which is absolutely amazing, and hope they're reaping their eternal rewards for doing that for us. And I read something interesting today. So there's this great book called Crazy Faith. It's a pastor, Todd Michael, one of those. Anyways, he talks about, I just sent the picture of it to Joel today. Like, this is so good. And it was like, most people, let me just make sure I get it right. I'm going to go back to the text I sent.
I thought it was like Chan. What's that? I'm thinking of a different book, maybe.
No, you are thinking Francis Chan.
Yes,
this is something different.
Okay. Thanks.
And this one,
that.
He says, church services are the huddle. Once we walk out the doors and into the field, it's time to run the play. And then Joel said, actually, a lot of people think it's opposite. Like, they go to, that's where anyways, this doesn't relate exactly, but it kind of does. If we're talking about like reaching out to people, like, take what you've been through, if you're in the place, to help other people and help other people. And it helps you feel better. Like, I mean, we were not even a year out when we started this podcast. And now I look at that, we were like baby widows.
Yeah.
we were baby widows.
Yeah,
and it helped us to also help other people. And so I guess I just want to encourage you, if you are in the place, and if you're not, it's okay. Some of you might be brand new widows. But if you're feeling like, you know what, I got a little strength today, or maybe it's a good day for you, reach out to someone and be that for them. You can be God's vehicle to help other people.
I love that.
And so I think it's really true that God will use you. God will use circumstances, use people. And I'm so thankful for all the people that God has put in my path who have helped me during different stages. And I want to do that. Like, I was really thinking, I'm really thinking about taking my nonprofit that I haven't done a lot with to the next level in 2023, just kind of reflecting, like, what do I want to do? I'm going to be taking some classes on how to do this method called grief recovery. I'm helping to help lots and lots of people do that. And I want my life to count. Like if I had to go through this, I really do want it to be about helping others. I mean, that's why we started this podcast,
Yeah.
is to help other people. Like, why would we go through it in solitude and not share it with other people? Like share what God has done for us. And anyways, those are some of the ways
No,
that
yeah, I like it.
I've seen like God renew my strength. It'll be just people reaching out at just the right time. And being something like, it was actually when Luke was sick, I would pray every day, God, give me my manna for today. Like, in case you might not know the story I'm talking about, listeners, the Israelites, were going through the desert. What's it called? The desert. Egypt? No, the desert. This isn't me trying to tell a Bible story.
It's great. We get the gist.
And every day God would give them what they needed just for that day, like to survive, to eat. And it was manna. And you couldn't collect too much because it would go be bugs in it and go moldy or whatever. And you had to collect enough just for that day. So I got this I actually wrote a book called My Manna for Today. And it's all about like, give me today, God, what I need for today. And I would pray that every day. And there would always be someone who would reach out to me, who would like encourage me. And it seems like every time that I pray that, I feel that. And like, now it's like, God, let me be manna to someone today. And
that's awesome.
And so I just want to encourage you to look for the manna that God's giving you, and then also look for how can I be manna to other people. So anyways, those are some of the ways that I've seen.
I love that.
Yeah, seeing God renew my strength.
And like we are, there's, as believers, there's, I've mentioned this before, but like people are watching us.
Yeah, totally.
When you go through something like this, for your friends who are not believers and they know you are, they're watching you. They're like, do you really believe what you say you believe?
Yeah.
Because this is you're in the fire. You're in the fire right now. Like, are you gonna show your faith? Like one of our episodes was called Faith Through the Fire.
Oh yeah.
Are you still going to I think that was our third episode.
I know. I was like, a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a minute. We were baby widows back then.
We were baby widows, baby widows.
But like people are watching and people are gonna see how you react. And so gosh, if they know it, because when you become widowed, to all of your friends and family, you are now the person who needs their help.
Yeah.
You need their attention. You are sad. You are broken. When you reach out to them and say, hey, got a little bit of, I'm feeling pretty good today. What can I pray for you about? And you're the widow. You're the one who's been through the flames and you're reaching out to them. Mm-hmm. That is such a strong testimony of what God can do in the life of a believer. It doesn't mean it's easy, but we're his servants. And he never, we've mentioned this before in this podcast too, like he never promised us that this life would be easy. Right. And the contrary, actually, he promised that we would face trials and tribulations and to stand strong and to be faithful. So it never gives us the ability to, and I know this is hard for some people in the beginning because a lot of people have that age-old question, why would God allow this? Yeah. It's, it's a hard one. And we've been asked it several times. Mm-hmm. Somehow God gives me the ability to answer it every time. Yeah. And I don't know, because I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know, but somehow God gives me the words at that particular time for that particular person. But I can say that God never told us to question me if you see something hard happen in your life. He said, you will face trials and tribulations. Yep. Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Mm-hmm. And then it gives you this perspective that the kingdom is what matters. As you've heard me say here before, the kingdom is what matters. And so if God is calling us to serve, and we serve him faithfully, and like you and I feel like we did pretty good job of like honoring God, even though our lives have been ripped away from us. Yeah. I feel like we did a pretty good job of, I remember telling people as, just days before Lacey passed away on my Facebook page, I actually specifically addressed it. And I said, I know a lot of you know that I believe in God and you don't. And you're probably wondering, how do I feel towards him right now? Do I still believe in him? This and that and the other thing. And I said, never has my faith been stronger. My faith will not be shaken because of this. And I felt empowered to stand up for God and his kingdom when life was hard. And that felt good. It was like, God's worthy of this. Like, just because something bad is happening in my life, it doesn't mean that God isn't good all of a sudden. God is amazing. And so if we can serve him and honor him, even when it's hard, he's faithful, and just, he wants us to show that kind of faith to him. And it's the only gift, biblically speaking, it's the only gift that we can give to God is faith. It's the only thing that we can offer him.
Yeah.
Like, we're petty, we're nothing compared to God. Like, we can't give him anything. But when we show him faith, that is a true gift to God, because we have free will and we are choosing to say, I believe that you are incredible, you are awesome, and I love you. And to him, it's like, like, that's a great gift to God, is our faith. And so, that being said, like, he gives us the strength we need to do that if you seek it and pursue it. And my girlfriend and I, actually, going back to something you mentioned before, as you know, and as listeners know, we're both widowed.
Yeah.
She and we were not far apart from each other. She lost her husband 4 months after I lost Lacey. And so we're on a very similar timeline, and so going back to something you said, like about you and Joel, like, like, neither one of us, we both wish that our life was what it was.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we can't love each other.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that we can't pursue happiness together and pursue a good relationship and eventually pursue a good marriage. Like, we can pursue all those things together. And it's honestly like, we have this incredible understanding of one another. Like, I have told her, and she has told me specifically, like, if I could give you your husband back, I would. And I would feel the loss of not having you anymore.
Right.
To give you
That's
back
sweet.
your life.
Yeah.
And she has told me the same thing. Like, I would give you Lacey back in a heartbeat if I could.
That's
How do
really
you
sweet. How
do you tell somebody that if you don't have a really deep understanding of what they've been through? It's, I mean, I don't know, unless you got really lucky with Joel. I'll just be honest with you. He's an exceptional man, and he somehow has the wisdom. I think he's just really intelligent. I think that's what it comes down to, because he has this wisdom that he just gets it. And it's not usual. It's not usual for somebody who hasn't been through it to understand it at the depth that he does. But also, he's a great listener. And he listens to you as you tell him his what it feels like for you, and he perceives it and understands it well. I could see that in him just from the one time that he was a guest on our show. It's just the one time that I've talked to him. And I remember this feeling of like, gosh, he is like really smart. Like, he gets things that most people wouldn't. So you got lucky. I'll just say that.
I know.
But with my girlfriend, it is just such a phenomenal feeling that, like, I don't have to explain to her why I have pictures of my wife all over my house and all over my walls, and why I talk about her freely and openly. And she doesn't have to explain to me, when she's feeling the things she's feeling. And we just get it. And it's okay. And I'm like, you don't have to, you don't have to do anything. This is your grief journey. I am just here to support you. And she does the same for me. And so when I was having grief, she would pray with me and pray for me. And I'm so sorry you're going through this. Like, she's praying for me that I miss my wife.
Right. That's special.
A girl that I'm in love with is praying for me because I miss my wife.
That's
and I've
phenomenal.
done the same for her. And it is isn't that beautiful? And
it's
so
really beautiful.
Just to encourage all of you out there that, like, just because you lost the love, and I still always go back to what Dwayne the guest on our show said, where he said, I don't like saying that she was my soulmate,
Right,
because
I
that
remember that.
implies that I could never love somebody that
Yeah.
same way again. And that opened my eyes.
Me too.
I was like, whoa, like, not that I didn't understand it, but he put words to something that I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And so I don't want to say anymore, Lacey was my soulmate.
Right.
Or my one love or whatever,
Right.
but I will always, for the rest of my life, I will talk about how much I love Lacey, how absolutely amazing she is, how beautiful, special, talented, creative, loving, kind, all the things. She was an amazing, amazing wife, mother, human being. The world really, the world lost a lot when Lacey was called home. And that's been one of the things where I'm like, why, God? Like, why would you? She was benefiting your kingdom, but for whatever reason, her work here was done. And sorry, I don't mean to get all choked up, but
no, it's okay.
That's who Lacey was. It is heartbreaking to me that we lost her. And I'll never, as people who don't know say, get over it. I'll never get over it. I have learned to live with it.
Yep.
That's the difference. I've learned to live with it. And so, but because, going back full circle, but because God has given me that strength, because as Michelle and I have encouraged you all before, because we leaned on him, we didn't have understanding. I remember like one of those other moments I had where God spoke to me and I said, I don't understand. And the verse actually it wasn't the verse of the day that time. It was, I looked at something on the wall and, and it's like to lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah.
This was a Proverbs 3, 4, 5, and 6, something like that.
Yeah.
To lean not on your own understanding. And
trust in the Lord with all your hearts and lean not on your understanding.
There you go. Thank you. Yes. And so I was like, okay. And so we did that after our spouses passed. It, didn't always come supernaturally. And I don't mean supernaturally.
I know.
I mean, like
very naturally.
Very naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
So anyways, but God provided that strength. God provided clarity and answers. I remember there was one time I was begging him to, and I've shared this before, and but I was begging him, like, what do I do? How do I save her? God, what do I do? Please teach me, like that, and I just felt this peace come over me. He's like, I don't need you. Yeah. I don't need you. Like, do you think I need you to save her? I'm God. I'll save her if I want to save her. And to me, that was, and I know I shared that actually semi-recently. I remembered after I started saying it, it wasn't that long ago, but gosh, for me, that was this moment of like, I just let my shoulders down. I was like, oh, you're right. Like everything's in your hand. You got the whole world in your hands, right? Like
it's got the whole world in his hands.
Exactly. And so like, he's not gonna, if that's not his plan for Lacey to go home, she won't go home. He knew the day she was born that on August 13th, 2020, she was going home. He knew that.
Right.
There was no changing course. And that helped me so much because I could stop asking myself the what if questions.
Yeah.
Oh, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? What if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? And oh, like, gosh, I wish I should have done this. And, I fought like hell for her. And I did everything in my power. I did my best. That's the best way to say it. Yeah. I did my best. And I need to be okay with that. And I found peace through the strength that God gave me. And like you said, the people that he sent into my life and all that. So anyways, yeah. So I don't mean to take so long.
That's good. No. I have lots of thoughts about all those different things. One of them, and I know we've said it, but we haven't talked about it in a while, but it's another way that God has made beauty from ashes. If Lacey hadn't passed away and Luke hadn't passed away, we would not be here helping other people who are hopefully helping other people who are helping other people. Right? We have to look at that like, wow. Yeah. Not that that's like the sole reason, but it's a beauty from ashes.
It's a reason.
It's a reason. God
when you
knew.
have nothing.
God knew that like we were going to be connected through a Facebook group, and then all, our whole story of how we are here today, and that we would be here getting to hopefully help and point people to him through a podcast. Like it's just kind of crazy when you actually stop and think about it. People in a lot of countries. How many? I don't know. You know the country account?
Like 63,
yeah, something crazy like that. Countries would have hope because of this. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Well, and the messages we get are so touching.
Yes.
And it makes it feel like there's purpose.
Yes, there's purpose in the pain.
One of the biggest things for me was I got messages from people, and there was one person in particular that was the craziest message, but people that accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior and are now going to heaven because really Lacey got cancer and because the way that they watched her fight and they watched her faith and they watched her never waver. She was the most, I've said it before, I'll say it for the rest of my life. She was the most courageous person I've ever known in my life. She was a warrior and she fought like I've never seen anybody. She was not afraid. She believed. She had real faith. She believed. She knew she was going to heaven. And people saw that. And it had a massive impact on our community. And I got a message from somebody in particular, but more than one message, but one person in particular said, I haven't thought about God since I was a little kid. I didn't even like following this page. We had a page on Facebook. We still have it called Team Lacey. I only followed this page out of respect. You guys are always posting too much religious stuff for me. I didn't like it, but I had enough respect for Lacey that I stayed on this page and followed it. But now seeing the way she posts, seeing all the, I don't remember exactly the words. I mean, this is 2.5 years ago now, but basically like seeing her posts, seeing the way that she fought with such faith. I gave my life to Jesus Christ this morning. I sat outside and I prayed to him after reading one of the posts on your page.
Wow.
I prayed to God and asked him to reveal himself to me like you recommended. And I now have given my life to Jesus Christ. And I'm so thankful because I never would have thought about this. And I was just like, that hit me really hard. That I was like, and of course, it sucks for me. It sucks for my kids, for my in-laws, for all the people who loved and adored Lacey.
Yeah.
But think about how short this time on life is, this term. Let me start that over. Let me say it in English. How short this time we have on earth is compared to eternity. It has been, I've heard where someone said, imagine an ant built a ladder to the moon and took that journey and came back down to earth and grabbed one grain of sand and went up to the moon and put down that grain of sand and came back down and did that with every grain of sand on the earth. That still doesn't even touch eternity, because eternity obviously is its own word, but it gives you this perspective of just how long eternity is. Now, because of Lacey getting cancer on this temporary place called Earth, that one person now gets to spend an eternity with Jesus Christ in paradise because he allowed Lacey to go through her cancer fight and ultimately go home. Now, again, I don't like it. My flesh wants to say, I would rather have, now I don't believe this spiritually, but in my flesh, I would rather have Lacey back than that person have salvation. I don't mean that in any.
No, I get it. No.
Spiritually, absolutely not. I would have him take Lacey 10 times out of 10 because I understand the kingdom is what's important. So, but for me, that was one of those moments where I was like, whoa, like there's things happening that we don't know about that God is doing. And so anyways, just wanted to, sorry, though, you had more you wanted to say.
No, I just wanted to share maybe one more thing about how God renews your strength. For me, it was finding community, finding other widows, and connecting. And I know we both did a lot of that in the very beginning, whether that's Facebook groups or I actually have several friends that I know in person that we get together sometimes. But finding other people who've been through that, and you can do that through our Facebook page. Like we have a very active community. But I want to encourage you, however it is, to find another widow or, widower who gets it, because it just helps you. Now, there is some danger in that if you just stay in a bad place together.
Yeah.
But if you can go into it wanting to encourage each other. And I know that was so huge in our journey that we became good friends and were able to be that person for each other. Like, oh, I was actually thinking about this the other day randomly. I think because I've been going through like trying to do projects, and I saw some of like stuff from medicine cabinet. And I was thinking about how when I actually cleaned out Luke's medicine cabinet, I remember I told you all about it and like how you understood that, like what that was like to have all this medicine, get rid of it, all that stuff. And so I just want to encourage our listeners to find somebody. It, like for us, we were only 3 months different in the journey, baby widows. And so we were able to completely get it. But that was a huge part. God renewed my strength through my friendship with you. And I believe he did the same thing for you. And so that is another important part of this. I mean, I've met widows who are like, I don't know any other widows. And I'm like, you got to get connected.
Yeah.
And
get in Facebook groups or
go
on our Facebook page. There's 1,000 people in there.
Yeah, you can find people, send them a private message, start connecting with them. And that makes a world of difference. Just somebody who gets it. We
actually had 2 of our listeners didn't know each other before our podcast. They met up in person. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was really cool. Yes, I remember that. And it's just huge having that community. Now I feel like I've grown out of that somewhat, meaning I don't feel like I need that same connection, but I know like especially the first year I really needed that. And that just like reflecting on how did God renew my strength, that was one of it. And sometimes, I mean, so my good friend Stacy, who's been on here, and our friend Jess, the 3 of us are really good friends. We go on walks together. We get it, like oh, it's a holiday, like all 9 of our kids tomorrow are going to be without their dad. Like we get it. Like, and that's been so huge. Like I remember it was going to be Father's Day the day like after we were going walking, and so we all prayed together for our kids, like for that next day. And so I think finding those people, and pray for that. God, bring me somebody who gets it. Like I want a really good friend to get this and be part of my journey and to help me. And God will bring people to you.
Absolutely.
And if you're having trouble, like reach out to us and we'll connect you with somebody.
Yeah. And it's so important too, because I remember when I first met you, you were not the first widow that I had talked to. You were the first widow though that I really became like friends with, you know. And actually that's not quite true, but you were the first person that actually understood what I went through.
Well, the first one was like cancer also, right? Like
that's what I mean. Yeah. Yes. The other person I knew was suicide. And so we had a lot of differences, we had a lot of understanding, but a lot of differences. So when I met you, it was like the cancer. But the point of all that, aside from that, when you talk to widows, yes, it's helpful. But when you don't know any other widows, all you hear all the time from everybody, I can't even imagine what it's like.
Yes.
I can't even imagine what you've been through. Oh, I just can't even imagine. I got so sick of hearing that at one point. I was like, yeah, you can. Picture your wife. And I just went off. Like, I'm like, picture your wife and you watch her fall apart and she this and she that. And I was like, I'm like, you can picture it. You just don't want to because it's really, really sad, know? And I was like, I just looked at him right away because he looked at me and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I just get, that's all I hear from people is, oh, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. I'm like, I just want somebody to imagine because it makes me feel like I'm so alone that I'm like, well, why me? Why did I lose my wife? Why did my wife have to lose her life at this age when nobody else apparently in the whole world has ever experienced this? Like that's how it felt to me at first. And then I met you and was in some groups and things like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is kind of bigger than I thought, And I imagine most of the people listening probably have found these groups because they found us and they're pursuing help.
Yes.
great job.
Yes.
Whether it's, us or any other, I heard there's one called Widowed We Do Now.
Oh yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
I haven't
don't know if
listened
it's
to it.
Christian or anything like that. I just, I'm not recommending it per se. So if it's, terrible, don't, come after me. But like, I've heard that it's very popular and that it's I've heard that it's really good. I've never listened to it. I don't know much
me
about
either.
it at all. But so we don't care if you're, of course we want you listening to us, but we're not doing this because, we're trying to get to 100,000 followers or whatever, like we're doing this because I remember telling you when I first said, yes, I will do this. I said, because you know what? If we even get one person that says like, this helped me, then it's worth it. And God's sure taken that and grown it to something that I never thought it would be. We're not, we're not that big. We're still reasonably small. But just what God has done with it has really blown my mind. Because I remember telling you, I was like, Michelle, 10 people listened to that episode.
It was all exciting.
What? Oh, and you're like, I know. And I'm like, that's crazy. And you're like, I know. No,
right? Forgot the right.
I was like, dang, that's crazy. And I'm like, well, 6 of them are people that I know, but still, like 10 people listened to that episode. And I'm like, that's crazy. And now it's, like 300-400 people per episode, something like that. 500.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, and I don't, I find it fascinating. I just don't really care about the numbers. I care that we're helping people.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see that let's say we had 1,000 people listen to one episode. It's like, that's cool. But that doesn't even come close to touching what it's like to get an email from somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, awesome. You guys have helped us so much, or I don't know why I said us. You've helped me so much, and blah, blah, blah. And just, I'm not going to spill anybody's personal information, but those are the things that I'm like, wow, like God is really like doing something with this. So,
but we reached a great status when we got an email from a listener saying she binge listened to us all night.
That was awesome.
I think I said that to you. I'm like, wow, we reached a new status. Like, someone
that's awesome.
Listened to us. Like,
I know that was wow,
really cool. Like, we're like Netflix status. Like, whoa, someone like sat there and watched us all night. They listened to us all night. Like, what? And that was a really cool moment.
That is a cool moment.
They're all meaningful. And if you have emailed us and we haven't emailed back, I apologize. We're not always the best at that. We're better at Facebook Messenger. Well, because I put Mark in charge of it.
Because Mark doesn't have access to the email.
We try. We're just having some Gmail issues.
Well, we determined that what would have to happen is you and I would have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi. Because of some setting you made.
We still have to figure out. Maybe for 2023, we'll figure it out. And I got a goal for 2023 to get some more episodes on YouTube because we kind of quit. And we have like 65 subscribers on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I checked the other day and I was like, whoa, we need to get more episodes on here.
That's like double from the last time I looked. It was like 30 something last time I looked.
But it has probably been
I'm all looking now.
6 months since you looked.
We're like as big as Mr. Beast.
Do you know there's a Mr. Beast candy bar? Because
yes,
Peyton got it for Christmas from Haley. It's like, oh, cool.
Oh, really? 62 subscribers.
Yeah, see? Told you 67.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyways, that's another goal I have for 2023 to like,
why does it say this? It's an advertisement that says dating a widow with special guest Joel Eversole. Widow too soon.
What do you mean?
But well, it's like an ad.
Really?
It's not a video or anything.
I didn't know.
And we don't have the Joel one on YouTube,
I know.
right?
What? I don't understand what you're
weird?
seeing. I don't understand. How are you seeing?
Now I'm seeing Key and Peele. It went out of the widow too soon. Oh no, it still is. I don't know. I typed in widow too soon.
Oh yeah, look. It says Widow Too Soon podcast. Visit site. Download the podcast app for free. Enjoy.
See?
Someone's advertising us.
Well, really? What?
No, it says, okay, so when I type in Widow Too Soon, and it just says visit site. So I'm going to click on visit site. You guys, this is in real time, people.
Time.
Visit site. It takes us to podcast.app. So somebody's advertising their podcast app. And it says listen free in app, but they're like, look, people can go to us through this.
That's pretty cool.
What happens when I go to listen free in app? What's going to happen? podcast app. I'd have to get it, and then I could listen to it through that. Well, that's cool. Thanks for the free
That's weird because
advertising.
we're not even subscribed to that one, right? We don't have it. Whatever. We can talk about this stuff off air.
I don't know, but that's exciting.
I'm kind of hungry. I think I'm gonna go make a burger or something. I just thought we were talking about useless things that people don't care about.
Listen, they care.
I'm
but,
making corn on the cob. I'm gonna do that. Do
what
you
are
like
you
corn?
talking about? I do, but what? I don't
I'm
understand your random.
No, I'm just being random.
Oh,
Yeah,
because we think that
because we
people are-
started talking about stuff that had nothing to do with the podcast episode.
Well,
we're
it's
talking about.
oh yeah, no, but
We started
that's
talking about
cool.
YouTube subscribers and yeah. Anyways, I was just making fun of us.
All right, well let's wrap it on up. I think we've talked about a lot of great ways that God has
Yes,
renewed our strength.
I concur.
Anything else on the topic, or you want to
I don't know,
wrap it up
Michelle.
in-
How long has this episode been so far?
1 hour and 18 minutes?
Okay, yeah, no, we gotta
Yeah,
wrap that
we
up.
should wrap it up. Sorry if you're still here. Not sorry. We're happy you're here. You have the choice to be here. So thanks
Yes.
for being here 1 hour and 18 minutes later. You know, some
I
people
was gonna
ask-
say you live in a free country, but not all of you do. You know, I don't think about that stuff often. No, I'm serious. Like,
I know.
there's sometimes I forget when I say things that I'm like, oh gosh, like some people are like,
Right.
it's not legal to be Christian in their country. And so,
Wow.
you know, I don't know. It's just sometimes we say things thinking that everybody lives in the United States.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird sometimes to think that sometimes the things I say don't like apply
Yeah.
to what we've known our whole lives or whatever. I can't think of a great example right now, but it's happened a few times where I'm like, oh wait, they don't
Right.
do that, you know? Anyway,
Mhm.
like In and Out,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
people in Kazakhstan probably have no clue what In and Out is. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyways, so I think we're getting sleepy. It's getting all weird.
Okay.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay. So
All
why
right.
don't you close in prayer?
Yes, Lord, just like to thank you so much for providing strength, renewed strength.
Mhm.
It's been such a gift. And I would have to imagine that everybody who, no matter how dark of a place they're in, Lord, I would have to imagine that they understand what it's like to experience your strength, to get us through celebrations of life and funerals and all the difficult things that we've had to go through, that, you know, it was your strength that took us through that. And Lord, I pray for your strength over everybody listening. I pray that you would just fill their souls with your Holy Spirit, and they would just feel strengthened to take on another day, strengthened to reach out to somebody, to be a blessing to somebody, to pray for somebody, or to ask for prayers if they need it. I just, that can take strength too. I pray just over everybody that listens to this, Lord, that you would give them your strength, and that they in turn would remember to give you the glory. You're a good Father, and we thank you for everything you do. And we ask for your forgiveness for those times where we take it for granted, or we don't understand it, or we question you. We question who you are, like those in the beginning. Like, we're sorry that our human minds can't wrap our own minds and hearts around why you would allow certain things. I pray that you would just give us all the ability to just know that you're God, and that your ways are above our ways and your thoughts are above our thoughts, and give us that humility, Lord. And I pray all that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, if you like this podcast, give us a little bing, 5 stars, review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. If you want to email us about anything, or better yet, send us a Facebook Messenger. That's
Yes.
actually, do that.
Do
Go
it.
to Widowed Too Soon on Facebook and you'll find us. And you can send us a message and we'll be more likely to send a message back. But you can also email us at widowedtoosoonm@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be a guest, send us an email. I know there are still people out there who've said they've been guests. I think there was one recently. Did I send that to you? I don't know.
No,
But okay, I will.
I didn't know about that one.
Maybe
I'm just letting myself off the hook for everything.
Yeah,
No, I
right?
didn't know anything about
that
that.
listener's like,
No,
this
we've
sounds
been
like-
terrible. You know, we've had a very busy last few months. You know, you're planning a wedding.
Yes.
I had the flu.
Right. It's Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah. Anyway,
And
sorry. go on.
No, for real. Like, for the listeners it's hard enough to like match up our schedules with the 3-hour difference.
Yes.
So it's hard to then plan a time for guests, but we will get to that. That's a goal for
We do, and we want to. It's a
2023.
big passion of ours
Yes.
that this becomes all y'all's podcast.
All y'all.
We're telling your stories because we just have cancer. That's what I'm just saying
I know it just sounded weird,
lost our
but
spouses
I
from.
get what you're saying now. Okay.
But a lot of you, as we've had former guests in the past,
Yes.
like have different experiences that
Yes.
someone might relate to better than they relate to us. And so, we want this to be helpful to people. And so sometimes other people can be more helpful than we are to you.
Yes.
So that's why we
No.
want to expand our podcast into having guests all the time. But like Michelle said, with our busy schedules, with our time, we're 3 hours apart now in our time zones. We both have very busy lives going on, and this is not a job for us. So we try our best to serve as best we can. So please don't think that if you wanted to be a guest that we, for some reason, didn't want you to be a
don't
guest.
take it personal. No.
We promise we really, really want to get you on here. And I can think of a couple people off the top of my head that we talked to them, and then it just kind of, we couldn't, our schedules didn't line up, and we had a plan and then it couldn't happen, and da 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 da. So we have never not wanted to have you on as a guest. So anyway.
All right.
That's all I have to say about that.
All right, Forrest. I mean, all right, Frederick. Forrest.
Oh, that's cold.
No, I didn't.
I'm just kidding. I know it's my middle name. It's okay.
It's your middle name.
I deal with the consequences of that.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.